In this lesson, we're going to look at Wi-Fi, which is likely a huge source of radiation in your home. In today's tech-saturated world, its convenience is obviously undeniable, yet the EMFs that these Wi-Fi routers are pumping out is certainly something that we want to be mindful of in our home. So while switching to Ethernet or wired connections is the best option here, we realize that this can be a pretty difficult choice at the beginning. So in this lesson, we're going to give you some tips that you can use to use Wi-Fi more safely in your home, if you're not quite ready to give it up yet. The first option is turning off your Wi-Fi router at night, or anytime it's not in use. This is a simple step that you can use to really cut down on its emissions. And something that you can do to make this even easier is plug your Wi-Fi router into a Christmas light timer, and that way you can set it so that it'll turn off before you go to bed, or when you go to bed, and it'll turn back on when you wake up. You don't have to think about it, and it's going to be giving you that nice, quiet EMF environment when it's most important during our nighttime. Also, keeping your Wi-Fi router away from bedrooms and any high-use spaces like workspaces is a great way to minimize exposure here too. Since the strength decreases quite hugely with distance, we want to be mindful of where that router is physically placed in the home. And so we want to be sure that it's not placed near any bedrooms, thinking on what's other side of the wall, thinking about what's above and below the router. You want to just keep as much space as possible between that router and bedrooms for sure, and any high use areas. You can also consider purchasing a low EMF router. So these are routers which can decrease radiation without sacrificing internet speed. So you can choose a router with a lower megabyte per second number, or there's more advanced ones like the JRS Eco 100 router, which has certain features built into it like auto wireless deactivation, which means it turns off the Wi-Fi signal when no devices are attempting to connect to it. And it works with all internet service providers. You can always give a call to the customer support team just to be sure, but these are a great option if you're not quite ready to give up Wi-Fi. Another option is adjusting some of the settings on your Wi-Fi router. Now this can get a little bit advanced or complicated, so feel free to ask us for help or a tech-savvy friend if you've got one, but you can turn down your Wi-Fi transmission power. So you go into the emit settings and you can lower the signal strength that your Wi-Fi router is outputting. And you want to do a little bit of experimentation here to see what's the lowest setting that you can put it on and still maintain a decent connection speed. Also, most routers have two signals that they're pumping out, a 2.4 gigahertz signal and a 5 gigahertz signal. Now you don't need both of these. So going into the emit settings of your router and turning off that 5 gigahertz signal is another great strategy you can use to lower the overall emissions coming out of that router. And another new kind of tricky thing that routers are doing is a lot of them are broadcasting public Wi-Fi, which essentially means you are getting double the exposure from your Wi-Fi router. So some of the companies that do this are in North America, we have ones like Comcast, Cablevision, and in Europe, BT, UPC, Virgin, XLM. Now, what this means is they are pumping out a new signal from your Wi-Fi router so that anyone walking by can look and say, oh, there's some public Wi-Fi here, and they connect to your router to get some free Wi-Fi. So to turn this off, you actually have to call the customer support team and ask them to turn it off. To check to see if you've got this going on, then load up your phone and see if you find a public Wi-Fi. And if it's really strong right around your house, there's a good chance that's your own router pumping that out. You can check your router and look for any settings related to public Wi-Fi to see if it's broadcasting them, but mostly you're going to have to call your internet service provider's customer support to get them to turn this off. And sometimes it even gets turned back on, so doing a bit of a regular look to see if that public Wi-Fi is back on or if it has been turned off is a great thing that you can do just to be sure that they're not sneakily turning it back on. Now there are shielding options that can happen as well, so if technical adjustments aren't really feasible, then you can use some physical barriers to dampen the EMF emissions coming out of your router. So you can use router guards or signal tamers, which are placed over top of the router, which help to reduce the amount of EMFs getting pumped out of it, while still allowing for a Wi-Fi connection. So these can be particularly effective in smaller living spaces. Now, anytime any shielding or sort of blocking products are being used, we recommend doing some testing before and after. So just reach out if you're going to be doing something like this. You can find all of our recommended products in the download section. And please reach out if you have any questions at all to do with any router settings or any of these kind of strategies that you have any questions about. We're here to help.